Joe, we are back at the Pitch Pod. How you doing?
Jeff, I'm here. I'm excited to talk about Cruz Azul versus Atlas. A recap of that, and I think looking ahead to this upcoming Real Madrid versus Manchester City match is something to really get excited about in Champions League. So I'm, as always, happy to be here.
Absolutely. Welcome everyone back to the Pitch Pod. Let's just get right into things. So we were looking at Cruz Azul v Atlas of the Liga MX, and neither of us nailed this one. We missed our predictions, we missed our mark, but it was a fun match. And Joe and I had a chance to actually watch it at his place, and it was a fun game. It was an active game. But it did not go in the direction that we thought it would. Joe, what are your initial thoughts from it?
Jeff, I looked at this thinking once Atlas scored the early goal in the second minutes, Kionis playing the ball into Brian Lozano puts perfect shot in to go up early. I didn't think it was going to hold. I mean, since Cruz Azul had even up later and into the second half, had dominated possession. I think the final number was 74% possession to 26 of Atlas. I think with some chances, and with Atlas, I think a second goal that was called back late into the second half that I thought was going to even be more so for the favor of Atlas to go ahead in this. And then again, Cruz Azul just never really, with 17 shots on and 4 on goal, to never convert one. So I thought that they really missed an opportunity to win this and look like this is the lesser side. And Atlas did what they needed to do, got the one, we're able to hold them off and go ahead to advance the next round.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the results on paper, it's hard to believe that Atlas won that match with Cruz Azul having possession majority of the game, controlling the ball, the passing, the shots on target, you name it, every stat. If you look at that, even looking at the team going into the match, you would have said, hey, Cruz Azul has this. But Atlas converted, they didn't, and that's the name of the game right there. But I want to just briefly, and this is a first for the Pitch Pod, I'm going to share my screen here with you, Joe. And what I want to do is, hopefully everyone can see this, is I just wanted to kind of look at that early goal that Atlas had. So blue, these are the defenders for Cruz Azul, and red, this is the attackers from Atlas. Can you see that?
Yes.
So what I wanted to focus on here was how that goal happened. And so Atlas, early on, there's a pass into their star attacker, Julian, right here. And Julian stopped it just briefly, and the defender for Cruz Azul was right on his back, and he kind of hesitated. Initially, I thought, why didn't Julian just leave that pass and have it go directly to the other attacker? The attacker ends up scoring with a brilliant shot on goal. But when I watched that play again, the fact that he stopped the ball with his back to the defender and it caused him to hesitate, as opposed to leaving it and letting it go through and giving the defender time to go and mark up this man, I thought was brilliant. So I didn't recognize that initially, but Julian knew exactly what he did and set up his guy for a brilliant assist. And it was just enough hesitation to catch Cruz Azul off. And as you saw early on in the game, a brilliant shot right in the back net in there that Cruz Azul ended up finishing. And that was a huge momentum change, because like you said, that was so early on in the match that that just blew the doors open, and it kind of seemed like Cruz Azul kind of got sucker punched and didn't know how to react. So I just wanted to, pay close attention to that, as I thought it was just well done by Julian of Atlas to make that play and to have that awareness on the field.
That's what you're looking for your number 9, a center forward that can play with his back to goal and also make those type of technical and tactical decisions where, yeah, as you said, he could have easily let the ball just run on, dummied it, and let it play on to Lozano that was making the run the third man run on the outside, but he decided to, with some decision, hold it up just barely, just enough to flick it on, if you will. Like I said, the defender hesitates to not get drawn there, and then is not able to get to close in and pressure Lozano. And I think it's a brilliant shot from Lozano too. If you
yeah, I don't want to take anything away from him, but that kind of brings us. Who's your man of the match, Joe?
I think it's Quiones. I think with the way that he influences the game. I mean, whether it is in that instance where he's assisting, whether it is him finding himself an opportunity. I think he had other couple of shots that could have easily gone in, and he just really, that's why there's a lot of talk about him and moving on and having to put a price tag on there for a potential transfer in the summer. And I think that if Atlas is up for letting him go, I think he's a guy that there'll be other teams and other clubs around the world that'll be looking to see that kind of talent, how it would work in different competitions. So I think definitely the man of the match and somebody to continue to look at and see how they do, not only in this remainder of the tournament, but as he goes forward and see where he ends up this next campaign.
Yeah, and same here. That's my man of the match. Julian, Atlas's striker, big goal scorer, but obviously can impact the game in different ways. So I agree with you there. I thought you might pick a keep, but no, I guess we're aligned again, Joe.
Good for these guys.
Yeah. So looking ahead, big Champions League match. Everyone's going to be tuning in for this. We have one of my favorite teams, right? Maybe I'm supposed to be a little bit more unbiased, but I'll be honest. I love Real Madrid. They're going up against Man City, who has just been on a tear in the EPL. So, Joe, obviously, the headline's going to read 2 legendary coaches, 2 legendary attackers going at this with Benzema and Haaland. That's kind of the headlines and what's selling this game. But how do you think this is going to start at the very beginning of the match?
In a 2-legged semifinal, I think Real Madrid having the advantage being at home, but I still think it is going to be what I often suggest is that it's going to take some time within the first 15 minutes for the teams to try to influence the game in their own way, namely Manchester City looking to have the ball and create penetrating passes in possession to create chances. Real Madrid being okay in some sense with the opposition having the ball. But I think that you're going to see a well-contested match in the midfield. I think it's going to come down to that. I mean, with those 2 teams and the way they're both set up, I think that it's going to take some time, but one goal, a second goal from one side or the other could really change the complexion of what we're looking at, not only in the match itself, but going on to the second leg in the semifinal.
Yeah. Real Madrid having that huge home field advantage. Their supporters are going to be out there, and that does play a big role in the game. Big momentum changer. One thing I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on were, going into this match. Obviously, we know Benzema, Haaland, they're going to have an impact on the game, directly or indirectly. But I think it's kind of fun to think about those other players that I don't want to say they don't necessarily get as much attention, but those other players that are still threats for both teams that are maybe not as focused on. I'll put it that way. And for me, when I look at the 2 teams, and it's going to be interesting to see who your players are that are also threatening. But I think Vinny Jr., right? I think he's super dangerous and can be great at giving assists as well as a goal scoring threat. And then for Man City, I always love watching this guy. It's Kevin De Bruyne, and he's coming off some hot games. So yes, he's getting a little bit more attention than usual, but typically it's just Benzema, or Haaland. So I like to kind of mention those other guys I think could have big games and kind of see who you might be looking out for this upcoming match for having a big game.
I mean, you can pick any number of the players, especially Manchester City, as far as continuing to have an impact. It'd be interesting to see which direction Pep goes with the setup and the guys that he features. Is Jack Grealish going to get a start? Is he going to be out there? He's always going to be a dangerous threat in attack. I mean, if you look back again, kind of mentioned the midfield for Real Madrid, Modric, Toni Kroos, are they going to play? Are they going to be effective together in the midfield that are going to help contribute to making it difficult for Manchester City. So I think look at those players. I mean, there's again pick a number of any of all the sides that have well conditioned and well performing players going into this match. So I think it's going to be exciting to look at all the squad.
Yeah. And if you're Man City, if you're Pep going into Real Madrid, leg one of the Champions League matchup between them and Real, what's your game plan, Joe? I mean, it's, yes, they have a super talented team, but so does Real Madrid. So, if you're Pep, like, what are you trying to do in this game besides just obviously feed the ball to Haaland at, close to the spot?
I mean, that's not the game plan.
well, I guess that's the game plan for the EPL, but I don't know, going into this match that might be a little bit more challenging. What are you thinking he might do, or what would you possibly do?
Well, sure. I mean, I think the fact that you mentioned that it's a different contest being in Champions League, and it's been the elusive hardware trophy that's been held over Pep's head, as it's his need and his want more than anything to find himself. I think, though, with that being said, I think he's going to prepare his squad, the team that he puts out there, to show composure, to not let the match itself defeat them, and knowing what they need to do to put this together. That is, namely, playing brilliant attacking football in the sense that they look to exploit the defense, move the defenders around, find those half spaces to play into and create those balls up through. And whether it be De Bruyne playing onto Haaland or, working out wide of the wings. I mean, we didn't mention Mahrez, how he may or may not feature in this. Hasn't had as much time in the EPL. Maybe that is a player. Stretch out the Real Madrid defense and try to find those spaces in between. And again, try to look to really dynamically create attacking threats here, there, and everywhere on the pitch. And then really, again, when the ball is in a position where Haaland can be on it, whether it's with his head or finish in a brilliant manner that we've seen throughout the EPL, I think it's certainly could show up, or necessary to show up in this match for them to come out winners.
Yeah, I like that. I like the idea of stretching the field out a little bit more, getting those other guys like Grealish and Mahrez, getting them a little bit more involved. So yeah, I mean, that makes sense. And yeah, looking for, of course, opportunities to switch and attack on the weak side and take advantage of that. And if I'm Pep defensively, right, of course I know who to mark up, but I'm always going to be thinking of Vinicius Jr. coming down the left side of the field and knowing how fast he is. So I'm going to take advantage of that information as I'm preparing for this upcoming match and prepping at practice for the upcoming match. Maybe that's the defender playing off a little bit. Maybe that's the positioning of the outside defender. It could be a variety of different things. Maybe trying to limit the Vinicius's opportunities to receive the pass. So, yeah, you bring some good points offensively, but I'm also thinking, okay, how do I shut down Vinny Jr. defensively so like he's not likely to get the ball into Benzema as easily?
Yeah, we mentioned that in other episodes when we featured Real Madrid, when Vinicius Jr. is an attacking threat on that left-hand side and gets out wide, the teams that have had success are the ones that are able to keep him out there. When he does, and I think could be encouraged to do more so, find his way to cut inside and look to get in between the defenders in that way, in a sense of just being held outside and try to get to the byline to try to play the cross in. I think he is more deadly, even more so when he has the ability to get and cut inside. So they got to be on the lookout for him. Like you said, Pep's got to be aware that that's a threat, how they prepare for it, whether it be the decisions they make leading up to keeping the ball from getting to him, or what they do when he does have the ball out wide in a penetrating position. So I'm looking forward to this one, Jeff.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be fun. Joe, why don't you go ahead and lead us off here with your prediction?
Sure. I mean, I think the run of form, and I think, again, we talked about it being two separate competitions, but the run of form that Manchester City has had in the EPL, winning unbeatable seemingly in different games and in different ways, and other players stepping up, and it hasn't just been Haaland in all sense. I think Gundogan had a couple in the last match, and there's other attacking threats. I still think that Manchester City just has momentum going for them, and a desire and a drive to win this contest, to go the whole way. starting with the win in the next Champions League match. I have them winning, Jeff, 2-0.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. My prediction's a little different, Joe. You know, I know Real Madrid supporters. I know that when that team shows up, they are dangerous as well as Man City. Maybe we don't think about them as much. We're always so focused on EPL. So I'm going to go with a tight game. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. I'm going to go with a draw here, Joe, of 2-2.
That should be exciting. There's a couple goals from each side, and maybe the guys that you mentioned. And we'll look forward to seeing how this game turns out. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. So we hope everyone gets a chance to tune in and support their team and have fun viewing this game. As always, the best way to support us here at the Pitch Pod is to please like, subscribe, leave a comment. We got merch. We're looking to give merch away. So leave a good comment, and who knows, maybe you have a t-shirt coming your way, maybe. So thank you, everyone. And as always, keep pitching out there.
In a game, the round ball, round posts, anything can happen.